This is the story of a very bad thing happening in a very bad place.
Controlled explosion ready.
When Chris Moon left the British Army, he couldn't have imagined life on Civvy Street would be even more perilous. Working for a charity clearing landmines in Cambodia, he is kidnapped by armed guerrillas.
We are demining the area.
Getting out alive will be the biggest challenge of his life.
We are a neutral organization.
What happens if we stay here?
There is no threat!
From now on, the choices he makes will determine whether he lives to tell the tale.
Where are you taking him?
North Mozambique, 1995. Chris Moon is working for a charity clearing landmines.
I was walking in a cleared area, 7th of March 1995. For some strange reason, I felt something was wrong. I turned. I took 3 paces and then... I realised in a split second that there was only one possible cause for the blast, and that must have been something I stepped on. Looked down and I saw that there was a hole in my right hand that was the same size as the demining tool that I'd been holding. The blast drove the flat end of this prodder through my hand, and I recognised the shape of it. I began to think, right, well, what is the worst possible thing that can happen? I knew that the worst possible thing that could happen was that both legs would be completely blown off, my guts would be hanging out, and I'd be about to die. In the storybooks, they say your life flashes before your eyes. Well, it's not really like that, but you are aware of everything you've done, the good things, the bad things. And above all, suddenly everything makes sense.
Even on the verge of death, he knows he's a survivor. He's already been through far worse. On the other side of the world, deep in the forests of Southeast Asia. Two years earlier, after leaving the army, Chris Moon travelled to Cambodia. He was there to learn how to clear landmines. It was his first demining job. The whole Cambodian landscape was riddled with landmines, the deadly legacy of civil war. 6 to 10 million mines scattered across the country. In roads, fields, even school playgrounds.
The problem with landmines is that once the fighting stops, these things are killing and maiming people for decades afterwards.
Chris and his team started working in a small village in a safe but remote area.
We were working all together in Posat province for mine clearance. My job as his interpreter.
Mine clearance is relatively straightforward. They're working in a metre-wide lane, which is very clearly denoted with white sticks. If it's a landmine, place an explosive charge next to it and destroy it.
Controlled explosion ready.
Although the Civil War had finished and the United Nations were now running the country, the Khmer Rouge still posed a serious threat.
And what about Khmer Rouge in this area?
No, you're safe around here. They're all well out into the jungle.
The Khmer Rouge were holding the forests, and the forests and all of those areas were very much for us no-go areas.
Anything else I need to know about?
Stop unless you absolutely have to.
The Khmer Rouge committed widespread atrocities throughout the country. As many as 2 million people died, perhaps a quarter of the population. They brutally tortured many thousands.
In modern history, perhaps the killing fields of Cambodia are unparalleled.
When Chris first arrived in Phnom Penh, he visited the S01 Genocide Museum. Previously a school, the Khmer Rouge had used it to hold prisoners before execution and to torture them. He quickly learned the details of Cambodia's brutal recent past.
The Khmer Rouge had taken over the country on April 16th, 1975. They forced everybody out of the towns. They turned the country into a huge labor camp. Anybody associated with the previous regime was tortured and executed.
Before long, he himself would be a prisoner of the Khmer Rouge. It's 1993. Chris Moon is in Cambodia clearing landmines. He's been told the area where he's working is relatively safe. As far as anyone knows, the Khmer Rouge are some distance away.
United Nations people locally to us had told us that they had been way beyond the point at which we were clearing. There were no troops near us for about 70 kilometres. So the small village that we were working in was quite safe. On our truck, we were taking some women and children from the village down to Kravan, the small town. In my Land Rover, I had about 6 of my blokes. They were in the back. My Cambodian colleagues asked me if I knew any English songs, and for some strange reason, the only song that I could remember the words for was Onward Christian Soldiers.
Okay, and onward Christian soldiers.
We were going down the same road that we'd always been going up and down when we reached a clearing. And I saw some movement in the bushes, and I just felt something was wrong. I began to wonder if my eyes were affecting me. The bushes seemed to be moving slightly. And then suddenly, charged 30 Khmer Rouge soldiers. I kept thinking, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I have to do something. There's nothing I can do except choose my attitude.
I feel very scared at that time.
Stand still.
When the Khmer Rouge kidnap anybody, they were killed. Chris, he didn't scare. He looked normal.
Everything that I did was focused on, well, how can we survive? How can we get out of here? I thought about every gesture, every move, every blink of an eye.
He said, why you come here?
To help the Cambodian people. We are demining the area. We are a neutral organization working in Cambodia to help the Cambodian people.
He said that he doesn't care neutral or it's not neutral, but this is his area. If you try to say more words, you're gonna kill us.
And then they tell us to take our clothes off. I suppose fear is such a lonely thing. Here you are with all these people, and yet inside I felt very lonely. And I'm standing there in my underpants thinking, right, no matter what happens, I'll never assume the role of victim. Because I do think that if you behave in a certain way, you pre-program others to treat you in a certain way. They tell me to get in the Land Rover. I'll push things as far as I can. If I go too far, I'll take a step backwards very quickly.
Mr. Hoon, please tell the commander that I will be happy to meet with his commander tomorrow, but my organization will not allow us to go today.
Look, maybe chia ca con sông ai chứ lụng. He said no, you have to go to see his commander today.
I'm now a Khmer Rouge prisoner of war.
Which way?
Flow now, look, flow now. Let's go straight.
We're driving for what seems an eternity. And then most heavy monsoon rain. The look on Bin's face tells me that he thinks we're going to die. There's no hope in his eyes. I'm watching the Khmer Rouge soldiers. I'm trying to work out what's going on inside their heads. You look in their eyes and there's just nothing there. There's no compassion, no feeling, no nothing. And there would be no point, you realise quite quickly, in ever asking them for kindness or mercy because they couldn't understand it.
Yes? We asked the commander if he knows this area well.
Look, maybe chia ca con look squad the moneyច្បាស់លាស់ទេលោក He said he lived in this area for 30 years now.
All the time we're trying to keep things polite, trying to communicate on their level.
Does he have a wife and children?
Look, maybe chia ca មានកូននេះមានប្រពន្ធទេលោកពូនឯងលោកមេខ្ញុំ Before he's married, but now he used the weapon as his wife, and the bullet is his son.
The Russian-made ZIL truck may have confused the Khmer Rouge. Their enemies have been using Russian military advisors for many years. Perhaps they think that's what Chris is really doing in Cambodia.
You must cross the river.
Tell the commander to send one of his men through the river first.
Psychologically, it's going to be far better if I make him send one of his men in to get wet. What I need to do is create some sort of a relationship with them in which they respect me. The commander would be very unlikely himself to walk through. He'd get one of his guys to do it.
This river marks the unofficial boundary between government and Khmer Rouge territory. The recent heavy monsoon rain has made it virtually impossible to cross.
No, it is too deep for the Land Rover. We cannot go across.
For the first time that day, I feel good because I'm calling the shots. I'm saying no. I am now in control.
So you must cross the river. If you're not across, go back to the Land Rover. Hey, let's go.
The Khmer Rouge soldiers are nervous. Until they cross, they're worried they could be attacked by government troops.
I speak to my driver and I say, look, you must listen to everything the soldiers are saying. Tell me what's going on.
Be fine.
If in next 20 minutes we are not across the river, they want to burn our car and they want to kill us.
We'll get across the river.
I have to find a way to get the vehicles through. We get into the middle of this fast-flowing stream at 2'6" of water, and I have a few anxious moments as I see the water starting to come under the doors. We just get through.
Into the deep forest, home of the Khmer Rouge. Every mile further from civilization, further from safety.
We're not using roads. We're on this footpath. The ground is really wet. We keep on getting stuck. It's a nightmare. I can prove I'm useful by getting the vehicles out of the mud.
Explain. He needs to come forward, try and get forward. I will reverse.
Just in case they're really after the vehicles, Chris tries to make his skills indispensable.
I seem to spend most of my time trying to get vehicles out now.
Don't look at them.
Did you ask the commander what we're doing here? Why have we stopped?
I know by now that we must be deep into their territory. This is their jungle.
Okay.
What's going on?
You have to follow the commander.
Ask him why. Why are we going?
ទៅទីណាលោកបញ្ហាខ្ញុំទៅជាមួយលោក Don't talk too much.
The little man comes towards us. He's got a hard face. And he's got this strange little brown chalky hat on his head. That tells me he's an important man. I don't have the authority to shoot you today.
Let's go with assisting my commander. Let's go.
Chris is now the prisoner and property of a second Khmer Rouge commander. Each of the commanders has his own territory and his own men. They're a bit like medieval warlords, independent but also part of a pyramid of command and obedience, leading ultimately to Pol Pot. At the end of the first day, they stop by a stream.
They tell us that we are now in a minefield. I'm not sure if I believe them or not.
It could be a genuine warning, or simply a lie to keep them from running away.
Ask the commander what his plan is. Why have we stopped? Are we staying here tonight?
Tonight we sleep here.
Tell the commander it is not possible. The rules of my organization will not allow me to.
ខ្ញុំគិតថាមិនអាចធ្វើបានទេព្រោះអីច្បាប់នៃអង្គការរបស់ខ្ញុំទីបានទេ You must stay here.
There's no point in talking to them. We try to explain who we are, what we're doing, and they just shrug their shoulders. The frustrating bit for me is that they just can't understand what I'm doing, can't compute it. To explain that I'm not their enemy is just an impossible task.
What do you think of the commander?
I think the Khmer Rouge, we cannot trust them. They are very cruel.
I can see from the look in his eye that he believes that this is going to be his last night alive.
Chris Moon and his colleagues are prisoners of the Khmer Rouge, forced to play a delicate psychological game of survival. It's morning on the second day, and Chris asks his captors for permission to wash. With no one guarding him, it could be a chance to escape.
Now I have my darkest moment. My hobby is running. I just know that if I do a runner, they won't catch me. They just won't expect it.
He might be able to make his way back out of the jungle, following the course of the stream.
Human beings, we are selfish things. We are.
Chris, he has chance to escape. If he escaped, we would be killed. But he decides not.
I can't leave my colleagues. Now I can't leave them, so I walk back slowly to the vehicle.
I think that Chris Moon is a brave man in my heart.
They drive on through the day. At last they approach the heart of darkness, a Khmer Rouge base deep in the jungle. And the regional commander who can choose to have them killed or tortured.
Deep down inside, I begin to think maybe there is no hope. And that's when I have to banish the demons. The only images I keep in my mind are all of us returning to the village. I stop thinking about just what the worst case scenario might be. My imagination keeps leaping off. All the time I have this dread, and if I focused on it, what I'd be thinking of is all the horrible stories about them torturing people. I think about what I need to do when I meet this commander to communicate with him. That is all that I allow myself to think about. If I start to think about my fear, it's opening the floodgates. So all of the time, it is about controlling the way that you think.
Why? Not up there. He said they will bring you to the house.
Where you go? Where are you taking him?
The Khmer Rouge, when they want to kill, firstly, they separate, and then they can't kill quite early.
They've separated me from Pern. Wonder what's going to happen. All of the time, I'm telling myself not to focus on stories that I've heard of people being tortured.
This is the end of the journey. Now Chris comes face to face with the one man with absolute authority to decide their fate. Their lives hang in the balance.
Speak Khmer.
No.
Speak Thailand.
No.
You?មកកម្ពុជាធ្វើអី?
I don't understand what you're saying.
Hmm?
I've been here for 6 weeks.
Min.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes.
Go Cambodia.
In Cambodia.
Yeah.
6
6
weeks
6 weeks
in
6
in Cambodia.
in Cambodia.
Your name, name.
Clever.
Clever.
Yeah.
Clever.
Yeah.
Chris. Clever.
Mr. Clever, he's got a sparkle in his eye. There's an element of some humanity there, which I find immensely cheering.
United Kingdom.
1 2 3 4 5 6
England.
Clever.
Clever.
Yeah. Look, Chris Moon,
He said that you have a good heart. Now he will use me as interpreter. He said, don't worry, he tried to help you. This evening, you should have dinner with him.
That night, dinner with the Khmer Rouge.
Having heard stories about how Khmer Rouge had given people a dinner and then killed them in a way that the people didn't know what was coming, it kind of made me worry.
Please bring beer. Please all of you enjoy. Meal.
I live in Pol Pot regime. When someone say good, especially the Khmer Rouge officer say good to us and provides good food to us, it means that we would be killed.
They start to talk. It's a bizarre experience.
Please thank the commander for his hospitality.
Although things were very polite, we didn't know what to expect.
So please enjoy your supper.
In my mind, I thought that we would be killed.
There's going to be no concept of us being held for a long period of time. We are either going to be killed or released. I keep waking up during the night. I can smell a cigarette. I can see a cigarette light somewhere out in the darkness on the edge of the trees.
In the morning, they're still alive. They try to maintain good relations with some tactical flattery.
We try to save our life by Chris say Khmer Rouge soldiers are good, that we and Khmer Rouge were not enemy.
Mr. Hoon, please tell Mr. Clever that I respect the Khmer Rouge. They brought peace to Cambodia. Defeated the Vietnamese. And we look forward to leaving and telling everybody how good the Khmer Rouge are.
As the day drags on, it seems less likely they'll be shot. Instead, they just wait and wait. Then,
way in the distance, I think I can hear something. And then I see a tiny dot of a helicopter.
Go, he said go.
a United Nations helicopter has been searching the jungle for them.
I think it's seen us.
On track!
All friendliness is gone.
It's not armed! Mr. Hu, tell the commander it's not armed! There is no threat! It's not armed!
Suddenly,
No! Stop shooting!
Chris and his colleagues have become a dangerous liability. Mr. Clever needs to get rid of them. Fast.
So Mr. Clever changed his mind. And I thought that, it finished our life.
He orders the commander who brought them in to take them away again. This time, he can do what he likes with them.
by sending us back, it was the other commander's problem. That's why he sent us back.
But when they reach his base, they get an extraordinary surprise.
Hello?
He said now he let us free to go.
He sets them free and grants them safe passage for a day.
We're free. We're going back.
To my complete horror, the original commander who first captured them, angry that they're still alive.
Hey!
Who allowed you to come? He said, give me the car key and get down.
Tell the commander. His commander has given us safe passage through this area.
Look, make your guy look. Give me the car key.
If I give him the car keys, how are we going to get home?
You said get in the truck.
On the verge of freedom, they trade their Land Rover for their lives. Chris and his companions are being driven out of Khmer Rouge territory on an old logging truck, with 2 boy soldiers guarding them.
Let's go.
Stop for a while.
They only have safe passage for 1 day. If they haven't made it home by then, all bets are off. They must get out of the forest.
We cannot get out. It's stuck too deep.
What happens if we stay here?
Another Khmer Rouge come and kill us because they only let us pass today.
Chris tries a new approach to intimidate the boy soldiers and scare them into doing what he wants.
What's this place?
This is a ghost place. There's many people die here.
think the boy soldiers will be able to find their way back to the village from here.
Okay, I will ask him.
Bring them over.
The Khmer Rouge soldier, they illiterate. So their belief of the ghost. Chris Moon, he said that, oh, this area is a lot of ghosts. If we stay here, maybe the ghosts kill us.
Tell them we have to leave this place very quickly. Tell them this is a ghost village. I have seen them. They will be very angry if we stay.
Now a new plan.
Okay, which way?
To walk through the night and to keep going until they're free. It will mean walking in the dark, through jungle, through rivers, through minefields. Chris Moon and his companions must get out of the jungle. It's now their third night in Khmer Rouge territory, and Chris is determined it'll be the last.
We're walking for our lives. We have to be out of there by daybreak. I make everyone put their hands on their shoulders. In the darkness. In this place where there are no rules. Where I'm just so angry with them for what they've done. I have to confront the fact that what I hated in Khmer Rouge might also be in me too. Because I have a very wicked thought. Maybe I should kill the boy soldier. I've even got my hand on his neck. I can snap his neck like a pigeon. And then I've got the weapon to get the other one when we emerge out into the night. In the end, of course, reason wins through.
We walk almost the whole night. We walk and I'm very, very tired. Sometimes I could not walk properly. But Chris, he's still strong.
Two hours after sunrise, they reach the village where they started, and the villagers they last saw at the ambush.
When we arrived to the village where we demining there, many people were very happy and come and congratulate us.
This is a place where the children are laughing and the children are playing. I think it's the most moving moment of my life. Simply because of the goodwill of these people who've suffered so much. And they're just so pleased that a bad thing hasn't happened.
I said that, oh, they still alive, they still alive. Oh, God help them. Just said like that.
And then somebody comes up to her and says, thank you for coming to clear the mines here. And at this point I get a very big lump in my throat and I must confess I shed a tear, which I rapidly wiped away in a sensible and British fashion. We were released on Sunday, we were back working again the Monday.
Get back! No one in the safety lane! Get onto US aid! Try to get the copter to come in and do a casevac!
I look down, I see that my lower left leg is still there, it's a bit burned. But my lower right leg has been completely blown off. And then I have this overwhelming desire to scream, oh my God, I've had my leg blown off. I take a deep breath and I say, think before you act, think before you act. Fine, I'm back in control. And I think, well, there's actually not much point in shouting that, because when the medic gets here, he's probably going to notice. People talk a lot about the survival mechanism, that your survival mechanism kicks in. Well, that wasn't the way it was. After a while, when the pain starts to hit you, I think it reaches a stage where it is so bad that you actually want to die. You would rather give up and pretend it wasn't happening. The battle in the helicopter is not to go to sleep. It was easier to go to sleep, to pretend it wasn't happening, to turn over and just fade out. And dying is definitely, in those circumstances, the attractive option. It's easier to die. I knew I'd gone into shock. I desperately needed fluid. The medic was struggling to get the drip lines into me. I had to get some fluid in. I decided that I would drink my drips. I drank 2 litres of saline, and I felt, as I bit through the plastic, that I would survive. It didn't enter my head that I wouldn't survive. Once I'd made that decision to live, I thought of all the reasons I had to live. To see my family again, to see my friends, to see my niece grow up, who was then very young, and also I still had my job to do. I had a responsibility to my programme. I didn't want to die because I knew it would be bad for funding for my programme.
When Chris reached hospital, his red blood cell count was so low, he should have been dead. His right leg was lost below the knee, and his right lower arm had to be amputated. But he vowed to make a full recovery. Within a year, he was running marathons. Eventually, he ran the Marathon des Sables, 7 grueling marathons across the Sahara Desert. 7 marathons in 7 days.
When you've given all that you have to give, that's when you maybe start to get a bit of luck. But what happens most of the time is that we stop here at this point at which it's uncomfortable, at which it all hurts a bit too much. But the reality is that we have the capacity to go beyond that point if we believe we can. And many of the challenges that I've faced have been about having the confidence to say, right, I won't give in. I don't know if I'll make it, but I will never give up. I will just take one more step. And maybe that's what the journey of life is about keeping on going. If you fall over, keep on getting up.
It's good to be here.